A war begins in the colonies. The French and Indian War began in North America when a young Virginia officer named George Washington became involved in a small but important conflict with French forces. This early clash helped ignite a much larger war between two powerful empires. On one side stood France, its French colonists in North America, and many Native American allies. On the other side stood Great Britain, its British colonists, and their own Native American allies. These two European nations had been rivals for nearly 100 years and had fought many wars before. Both wanted control of land, trade, and colonies around the world, so it was no surprise when fighting broke out once again. Although the war began in North America, it quickly spread across the globe. Battles were fought in Europe, Asia, and on the Atlantic, Pacific, and Indian Oceans. In Europe, the conflict was known as the 7 Years' War, but in North America it became known as the French and Indian War. Fighting in the woods. One of the most important areas of conflict was the Ohio River Valley, a region claimed by both France and Great Britain. The British were determined to drive the French out, and in 1755 they sent General Edward Braddock with about 2,200 British soldiers to capture Fort Duquesne, a French fort located where the Ohio River begins. George Washington volunteered to serve with Braddock's army. Impressed by the young Virginian, Braddock appointed Washington a colonel and placed him in charge of 450 colonial soldiers. Braddock was an experienced general, but his experience came from fighting wars in Europe, where battles were fought on open fields. He knew very little about fighting in the dense forests of North America. Worse still, he refused to listen to advice from the colonists, who understood the land much better. Braddock ordered his men to cut a long road through the wilderness toward Fort Duquesne. His army marched in tight formations, wearing bright red uniforms, almost as if they were on parade. Washington warned Braddock that this strategy was dangerous. The woods allowed enemies to attack suddenly from hiding. Braddock ignored these warnings. Just a few miles from Fort Duquesne, French soldiers and their Native American allies launched a surprise attack from the forest. The British soldiers were caught off guard. Their red coats made them easy targets, and panic spread quickly. During the battle, General Braddock was killed. George Washington showed great courage during the attack. Despite heavy gunfire, he helped organize the retreat and led surviving soldiers to safety. His bravery earned him respect and helped shape his future as a military leader. Victory for the British. At first, the war did not go well for the British. However, the situation changed when William Pitt became Prime Minister of Great Britain. Pitt understood that the American colonies were extremely valuable, and he was determined to win the war in North America, no matter the cost. Pitt sent more soldiers, money, and supplies to the colonies. He focused on controlling important rivers, especially the St. Lawrence River and the Niagara River, which the French used to supply their forts. By cutting off these supply routes, the British weakened French forces. With the help of colonial troops and Native American allies, British forces captured Fort Duquesne and renamed it Fort Pitt, which later became the city of Pittsburgh. They also captured the French fortress at Louisbourg, opening the way to Canada. One of the most important battles took place in 1759 at Quebec. The city was located on high cliffs along the St. Lawrence River and was thought to be impossible to attack. However, British troops led by General James Wolfe secretly climbed the cliffs at night. At dawn, they surprised the French army on the Plains of Abraham. The British defeated the French forces in a short but decisive battle. Both General Wolfe and the French commander Louis Montcalm were killed. With the fall of Quebec, French power in North America collapsed. The end of the war. The war officially ended in 1763 with the signing of the Treaty of Paris, a peace agreement between Great Britain and France. Under the treaty, France gave Canada to Great Britain. France also gave up its land east of the Mississippi River. The land west of the Mississippi went to Spain, France's ally. In return, Spain gave Florida to Great Britain. By the end